I lied down, struggling to focus between the 432 hertz and the massive bullhorn called a man that was snoring. I felt the few women left in the chorus squirming through an air that was once so calm. Like most people today in need of actual licensed therapy, I chose something cheaper and instantly gratifying: sound healing. Marcella was 27, fit, and had managed to find a boyfriend that was not. He was 33, chunky in a crop top, and at least superficially very kind. Before she had met her boyfriend, the class was packed. Something so simple that you swore a good YouTube channel could do the same had become a mesmerizing act with her. The way she handled her crystal bowls could open up your chakras like a portal. Suddenly you believed you were more than your body. You were music. And then she began dating Snorlax. The first class he came to, I actually got too early and they were flirting. It's always nice to see people in love. I sat down and she was beaming. She began placing pillows and incense around as he smiled to me and watched her make her magic. Soon the packed class arrived. We all lie down, and as she began to do her guided meditation before the actual sound healing, she had a real knack for building a clarity in the ambiance that felt like a church. Like, despite being in a small room in a gym where outside muscle men were grunting, we were actually in a sacred space. Then she began the real magic, a sound healing. This time, she was interrupted. I cannot describe the obnoxiously loud noises that exited this man because I can only compare it to historical tragedies that were highly audible. Perhaps he sounded like the Titanic hitting the iceberg, a plane crashing into the waters of the Bermuda Triangle, never to be seen again, or a 70-car pileup at a turnpike that is usually clear. It was so cruelly disruptive. Some thought it was a prank, and I always wondered once I stopped going to her class whether it was intentional on his end. Did he want her to lose her work? Did he truly not know that pigeons created a nest in his sinus cavity? I've always struggled to understand how aware, or rather unaware, people are of themselves because I was raised to be aware of everybody, everything, and think in turn it made me aware of me. But it just made me a really good emotional slave. My behaviors were the mirrors of the people I most loved, and I ended up being hated by them and even hated myself. Yet I was shocked that she did not associate the lessening of her student body with the sound terror of her new boyfriend, who showed up in every class for free until she would have to offer it so. Hey, Hardin, I'm noticing the girls are not coming. Have you spoken to them? Oh, no, I lied. Of course I did. It was a topic in any post sound healing brunch or coffee. And it had become a terrifying symbol to how a man can ruin your career. People stopped going because two people told her he was snoring and it was horrendous. And she remarked she would tell him to stop because sleep apnea is something that disappears on command and not via CPAP. The next week he was back. And soon no one else was. Through the grapevine, I heard she had begun asking for donations, and eventually her class closed to a rival that began their own sound healing course with her old clients. I never saw her again, but I hope that either A, she is not with him, or B, he won the lotto and gave her a crystal bowl room. It can't be anything in between. All right, let's heal, let's discuss. So it's just it's such a weird story because I feel like she was a really good sound healer, like supernaturally good. Like she made me respect it as an art because I love sound healing and I love meditation and things like that. But we're all in our own economies, and a lot of us, I love belly dancing, but I've got to YouTube it. And she was accessible and she was good, and it the thing about going to these classes too is that not only are you getting healing or you're stretching your body, you're stretching your mind, but that you're also meeting people and your network is your network. Proximity is prosperity. And I liked your class. The good thing about healing courses is that you usually are meeting people who are trying to heal. And she was getting packed and then she fell in love. And it was so weird because I felt with her, I mean, this wasn't a whimper. This was a whoa in the wind. And I just thought to myself, she has to hear it. And sometimes I think what I find disrespectful with people, and I think what eventually turned people off about her is that this is where your hidden greed comes out. You're relying on your clients and their loyalty and kind of their hesitance to call you out about your boyfriend, who I'm not saying he was a villain or I think my doubt with him is that it was so loud. It was so obnoxious. You have to know your own body and you have to know, or maybe it's me, that a sound healing class that involves quiet so you can hear the sound doesn't need a snorer. And this is where she comes in. I was kind of like, do you think we want to stay for you? Like, do you think we came here for like some YA novel? Like yay, long live young romance? Like, give me the sound, don't give me the snores. So it kind of put a level of distaste for both of them because you can't necessarily, he he just became a figure in all of her classes. Like he was always there and he didn't do anything but fall asleep and snore. And she was so smiley and so sweet. And it's like, it's kind of like the pink elephant in the room. You're like, everybody sees that pink elephant, right? Like we can't ignore a literal pink elephant. I think he wore a pink shirt once. And I mean, I think it was like, like it was bad. It was bad. I think comparing it to the Titanic hitting an iceberg might not truly hit the mark on how big that snore was. And it just put people off. I think we're in a time where economies are rough. They're looking like they're going to get rougher. People are struggling in terms of how to invest in themselves because I think more than ever people are seeing I need to aim for joy because this system, our systems are not simply aimed at taking away our human rights. They're aimed at taking away our humanity. And they're aimed and they take away our humanity by how they remove our joy, our ability to be so. And I think that some people are rebelling by saying F you. Like I'm gonna get a sound healing. And it was so she didn't take it serious. And it was such a twist because I thought she did. And then she got this boyfriend and then eventually the class closed. Nobody came. I don't think she sometimes people are talented in something, and I think a lot of people are trying to commodify their talents, but they're not even sure if they are their passions, you know? I think, especially with the spiritual realm and as a tarot reader, like I don't want to say it's a saturated market because I think every market is saturated at this point. People are looking for work and they're not going to go hungry because they don't know how to read tarot. They're going to learn and they're going to sell it. I think the difference is because people don't have heart in their work, it shows. And because clients are looking for heart, they're getting frustrated because there's this lack of just, I want to say human decency, but just you can be connected to the moment. You can be present at all times. That is beyond money. So beyond the fact that she's getting paid, and whether or not she likes this work, she just has to hit the crystal ball and tell her boyfriend not to come, pick me up after. And it was one of those like, are you both trying to act like we shouldn't hear this God forsaken wind tunnel coming from this man? And I mean, she dug her own grave. She lost it. Nobody went. People stopped going. And I just found that moment so like, huh, like, wow, I, it's not easy in any realm of work to be good and be elevating. And she was getting, her hits. Like people were like, word of mouth, let's go. She's successful. She went from pack to zero. And I don't even want to say it's for a man because to be honest, I think I'm like, where was your heart? What were you doing? Not snoring, I tell you that. All right, check out theinterviewsatall.com for these data recovery episodes. Please follow my Substack. Follow me on Instagram as Deandra Reviews It All, on TikTok as Daddy Recovery, and How to Lead on all music platforms.